like it just started.
Should probably lower this a little. Nobody's here yet.
I'm by myself. Hi, hey Davis, you're the first one. Hi Mike. Hi, is your name Ari? Ari? Hello, hello, hello.
Hi everybody.
It's been so long since I've done one of these. Probably like months. Hey Chris. Hello, hello, hey everybody. How's everyone doing? Can you all hear me okay? Am I being too quiet? Should I be closer?
Let me know, is the feedback good? Can you hear me? Yes. Solid, thank you. I got a lot of like bubbling sounds in this room. Look at those fine cages. I know. Here's this is Marcella and this is Aria down here. And then Bran and Renly are up top, and then Tormund and Aria are down here. You can't see them. Your hair is so beautiful, and yes, thank you. I missed having it red, so I'm glad that I dyed it again. And especially now that it's long too. There is interference. You're a bit quiet. Okay, okay, okay. Let's see if I can just turn off some of the... Give me 1 minute. Oh!
Hit the cage. You're not quiet for me. Is it better now? I just turned off a pump. Don't worry, they won't die or anything. It's just fur bubbles.
Can everybody hear me? Is everything good? Have you ever
gotten tired of owning a lot of pets? This year really has been the only year that I've just like not been tired of it, but I've felt more towards that. Because like this year's been hard, I feel like, for everybody, but for me it just feels like one thing after the other. Like Shireen's passing, my dog being diagnosed with cancer, I lost my job, we've had quarantine, like it's just...
It's a year, but
it's not to the point where like I would give up any of them because like they need better homes, and no, like I haven't neglected any of their care at all. It's just I think being tired in general because of this year, that extends into being tired of everything that I'm doing. Like writing is another like hobby of mine, and I'm just tired of it. What's your favorite type of gecko? Leper Gecko? I know it's a very basic answer, but like they're just amazing. They have such great personalities. If you guys can't hear me or anything, just let me know, and I will find another solution. So how's everyone doing? Let me see if I missed any comments, actually. Love your hair, thank you. Aria is my favorite. She's amazing. Those things are gorgeous. Thank you. This is just a couple of them. I have... Sound keeps going in and out. Oh no. I can't plug headphones in because it's on a charger right now. I don't have AirPods, so... When you're not caring for reptiles, what do you do for fun? Nothing! No, I'm just kidding. I like to go, like, for walks, like, with Jackson and my fiance, or, like, a friend. Just, like, going on walks. Nature type of stuff. I like watching movies and, television. Also, TikTok has been a big pastime, like, just watching TikToks. People are so funny. But, like, because I'm in quarantine, there's just not much to do. And, like, I know a lot of people aren't in quarantine anymore, but I don't have health insurance because I just turned 26. So I can't really risk getting coronavirus or exposing anyone in my family to it. Like, this year is a mess. It's a hot mess. But I like to write. I like to read. I sing all the time. I love singing. Love music, television, movies, that sort of thing. And yeah, like I said, I like walks. I also love building enclosures, but that falls into keeping pets, you know? Would you ever get a snake? And if so, what type? I actually did get 2 snakes.
I haven't shared them on the channel yet because, go figure my luck, one of the snakes was actually sick when I got it. So it's currently being treated for a bacteria infection. It's a hot mess. Hot mess. Davis, I talked about it on Instagram the other day, so it's not really a secret anymore, but yeah, I got 2 garter snakes. And they are not full grown yet. They're like a year old, my vet thinks. The person I got them from didn't really know that much about them, to be honest. It's a hot mess of a situation. But he told you a few weeks ago? Oh, well then you've been in the know for a long time. Yes, I'm so happy to have snakes. So, I literally cried. Like, I was so happy. And also, I want to give a shout out to my friend Tony from Tony's Tails and Scales, because he met up with the person and got them for me because I was going to meet Tony that same day to drop off some enclosures. So I recently upgraded my bearded dragons and my fiance's blue tongue skink to Zen Habitats enclosures, which I have those videos up on my channel already if you want to watch them. But the old enclosures were still perfectly fine. I just didn't want them anymore. They didn't have like the look I was going for, so I asked my friend if he wanted them, and he's like, heck yes. So I drove down to pick up my Leper Gecko enclosures, and I drove an extra hour to drop off the bearded dragon and blue tongue skink enclosures, and he gave me the snakes. So it was a lot of swapping that day. Then I went and got my Leo enclosures, and then I came home, set the snakes up in quarantine, which they're still in quarantine. They will be for quite some time now that the one has health issues. But the enclosures, as you can see, have been set up, so I can't decide if I should get garters or a corn snake. Personally, I love them both. I think corn snakes are gorgeous. If I was down for feeding mice and stuff, like, I'd be all over corn snakes. But, of course, I'm biased. I say garters. Look, you can see Jackson's head in the reflection of the enclosures looking out the window. Okay, hold on a second. I know I missed some questions. Are you considering getting any more small pets? No, in fact, I keep saying this every time my rats, like, get older, and mine aren't, like, that old yet, they're only a year old. But I keep saying that I'll, like, retire from keeping rats for a while. I would like that to be something I actually stick to this time, but damn, having rats is such a joy. But, they're quite a bit of maintenance, compared to reptiles, and I need to move, so the idea would be to have less animals by the time I move, not more. So since rats have a short lifespan, you know, that they're an easy one to, because I'm not going to rehome any of the animals, I want to keep them all. So the way to have less would be just to let them naturally pass away, and considering rats have such short lifespans, that's just, you know, how it is, unfortunately. But I really love keeping rats, so I'm always in my feels every time one passes away about getting more or not, but I would like to stick to not getting more rats, although I do love them. But no, I don't have any intentions of getting any other mammals unless it's a dog. I would love to get another dog sometime. Have you ever bred feeder snails, and if you currently are, could you do a guide on it? I have not. That is something that I would do in the future, but no, I have not. I'm not currently doing it. I only breed Dubia Roaches and Mealworms right now. And then for the garters, my sister breeds snakes. She doesn't. She breeds life-bearing fish like guppies and platies, which will be what the garters get once they get big enough. Right now they're on chopped earthworms. I love educating people on my snakes because they definitely get a different reaction than lizards. That's true. And I don't really know what it is. Snakes just are missing the legs. I don't know. If something has legs, I guess it's less unsettling. I don't know, personally, I don't really get it. I think it's just the way snakes have been portrayed in media and throughout history. Whereas, like, lizards are just kind of seen as, like, less harmful. I only have one leper gecko. From the amount of reptiles you have, how do you keep up with all their routines? So, I do have 2 calendars on the back of my pet room door. One is for cleaning and medication. The other is for feeding. I also keep track of ovulation, but that season is over. Thank God. I'm not religious, but I'll be religious when it comes to ovulation season. Good Lord. Ugh, it's the worst time of year. Hey, can you get your nose out of there? My basset hound's being rude. Can you relocate yourself? Okay, anyways. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I have 2 calendars that helps keep track of if someone's on medication, which just has been the case for the last like year and a half. Someone has always been on medication. So if someone's on medication, then that's listed. Water changes, enclosure cleanings, humid hide cleanings, when I change out water bowls, like that all goes on one calendar. And then on the second calendar is feedings and like when the food is dusted, who didn't eat, and like who maybe has a habit of not eating. Like if it's just one meal, I usually don't jot it down, but if it's 2 meals in a row, then I start keeping that on the calendar because that's like abnormal. Usually it's just ovulation season or brumation, everyone just stops eating. So but yeah, so that's how I keep track of those things. And then if there's anything like weird, I like write it down in my phone, because I'll probably just end up calling my vet, so it's good to have that documented. If I know I'm taking an animal to the vet, then I just like make extra care to document everything about them up until the appointment, stuff like that. So I hope that answers your question. Plus, like, once you get in the habit of things, it's just like easy to fall into a routine. I'm really good with routines and scheduling and sticking to a pattern, so that helps me. I have a new leper gecko. Do you have any advice? Watch my care video or any videos in that care series. Watch other people's care videos. Ouch, I'm sunburnt on the back of my neck. That hurt. I forgot. Okay. Ouch. And then also, there's only so much that other people's experiences can teach you. You will learn a lot just from your own experience as well. Hi Jessica, remember me? I remember you. Love your channel. I understand you live in Indiana. Where do you get your reptiles? And any suggestions for me? I'm interested in an African fat-tailed leper gecko. 1 second. My dog is crying. I'm gonna go cover him. What are you doing? Sorry about that. Okay. So, I live in Indiana, but most of my reptiles don't come from Indiana. They come from, like, the Illinois area, like where Chicago is, because it's just more populous, so there's more people who keep reptiles there. Or I get them from anywhere else in the country. A lot of my reptiles have been shipped to me. Don't bark, it's just a car horn. Dogs. So a lot of them have been shipped to me. I find them through, like, different people who have rescue or special needs situations. I've kind of just become known for that, especially on Instagram, where, like, the breeding community is, or, like, through Facebook or YouTube. Jackson, get down, please. Jackson, get down, please. Thank you. These dogs are losing it. But you can definitely, if you're into, like, rehoming and rescuing, Craigslist is always going to be something that's available to you. If you do want a gecko that comes with, like, a health guarantee, then you can check out some ethical breeders in your region. So, like, ones that could ship to you that might not be so expensive. And if you don't care about paying for expensive shipping, you could check breeders that are, like, renowned all over the country. A lot of times you can find them through Facebook or through Instagram, or just ask other breeders who they might recommend. Ask people who have that animal, who they got theirs from. I have 2 baby crocodile geckos, both about a month old. I am splitting a 20-gallon in half with a piece of plexiglass. I can't choose any names. Can't choose names. Any ideas for my grumpy geckos? What's, like, your favorite television show or book or movie? Yes, I will still make the video on Eco-Earth. Trust me, my feelings haven't changed. I just haven't had time to sit down and film because of this. Sorry if you've already answered this, but what are the dimensions of your new Machilarious enclosures? Okay, so I have 3 different sizes. I did explain this on my channel, but I don't mind explaining here, so don't feel bad. So I have 3 sizes. The biggest one is a 36 by 18 by 12. The second biggest, or like medium size, is a 24 by 18 by 12, and the smallest is an 18 by 18 by 12. So it's about 15-gallon equivalent, 20-gallon equivalent, and 30-gallon equivalent. I think it actually comes out at like 33 gallons, but whatever. The reason I went with 18, 18, 12 is for some of the special needs or stunted growth geckos, like the Enigmas in particular, are all in 18 by 18 by 12. I also have my blind stunted growth gecko in there. I have another gecko who has stunted growth in there. And then I have a really tiny baby African fat tail in the last 18 by 18 by 12 who's missing a foot. He was just born with 3 feet instead of 4, and he's absolutely adorable. And then I have 9 geckos in the 24 by 18 by 12. Some of those geckos are stunted growth, some of them are like rescues with like less toes, or just metabolic bone disease, or just things that might like require just tighter confines. Like some of them it's a behavioral problem, like they would be like they wouldn't feel as safe in a larger enclosure. And then most of them are in 36 by 18 by 12. There's 12 enclosures of that size. My Pac-Man just tried to eat my finger. Can't even imagine. Is it normal for a leper gecko to sleep in a water bowl? I wouldn't say it's normal, but I also wouldn't say it's not normal, because leper geckos are known to sleep in all kinds of positions all the time, anywhere. Like, I've seen leper geckos sleeping upright, I've seen them sleeping flat on the ground, I've seen them sleeping on top of things. They can sleep all different kinds of ways. I've seen them sleep with their head propped up on their calcium dish. Can you help me? My feeder crickets are all dying. Honestly, I don't keep crickets. I have an issue with mine dying as well. Also, I hate the smell. Also, I hate that they escape. Also, I hate that a lot of crickets have like parasites. I just don't use crickets as a staple food source. So I'm sorry, I'm not the best person to ask about that. I keep Dubia Roaches and mealworms, and then I also buy superworms, hornworms, and waxworms on occasion. I hate the sound when I try to sleep. Crickets? I can't even imagine. Ugh. So does anybody have any other questions about these big enclosures? Or about anything else? About my snakes? About anything? Sorry if you see me drink water. I got wicked sick while setting up these enclosures, and so I'm like drinking water religiously to not fall sick again. Okay. My Dubia Roaches are ones that I've bred for years. I haven't bought new Dubia Roaches since like 2016 maybe. I have a colony that's self-sustaining that I've never had to add to. But before that, I bought them from an Expo. I can't even remember who I bought them from. It was either Great Lakes Hornworms or Josh's Frogs. The snakes, you can't see them right now because they're in quarantine. They're not even in this part of the house, they're downstairs. They're just in a very boring 10-gallon right now. But I am having their enclosure ordered. I just placed an order for 5 more of these enclosures, these kinds. And they're actually going to replace the entire rack that's to my side here. So I ordered, they're garter snakes by the way. So I ordered, 148 by 18 by 24. That'll be for the garters when they are a little bit bigger. And then I have a 30 by 18 by 12, a 30 by 18 by 12, an 18 by 18 by 12, and an 18 by 18 by 12. And then on top of all of those enclosures will be the White's tree frog enclosure, which I already bought, and it's sitting out in the garage still waiting to be set up, and that is 48 by 18 by 24. So there's some pretty big enclosures. And I'm really excited to get the White's tree frogs moved out of the tub. Coco's issues haven't resolved. I don't honestly think they ever really will. But yeah. Garters are known to spontaneously die. That's interesting. I've never seen that. I've read that they're pretty hardy. My vet gave mine a fair to good prognosis because he's still active, alert, and eating. And he actually, so the first thing that I was told about him like 2 days before I went to pick him up, I had paid for him like 3 weeks. I had paid for both snakes 2 weeks in advance. And then just like a rehoming fee because I found them through Craigslist. And then I had my friend, like I mentioned earlier, pick them up, and then I met my friend just because it was more convenient that way. But 2 days before that, the person messaged me and said that they had, one of them had blisters. And so when I got them, there was 2 blisters, and then I was treating it at home with, like, better husbandry, because husbandry was the issue that caused blisters in the first place in their previous home. So I was treating the blisters externally, and then once another blister popped up, I just called the vet and said, like, you know, it's not getting any better. So went to the vet, diagnosed with a, oh my god, why am I brain farting right now? A bacteria infection, and treating with bacteria, oh my god, treating with antibiotic, oh my god, my brain is farting. We treat with an antibiotic twice a week for 6 weeks, and it's injection, which I've never had to do before. So for my first snakes, and they're tiny, we have to do little injections, which is such a joy, I tell you. It's really great. But I didn't want to say no to these snakes, even with one having an issue, because I didn't know if they would get proper vet care in their previous home, because the husbandry is what was the cause in the first place of the issue. So I didn't know if they would have access to quick and proper medical care, and proper husbandry to heal that issue. So I just decided to take them. And someone asked if they were cohabbed. Yes, I do plan on cohabbing. Right now they are both cohabbed, and they like are an absolute delight. They sleep right next to each other, like cuddled up, like I'm not even kidding. I feed them in the same enclosure. I just move them to separate ends of the enclosure, and I've had absolutely no problems with one striking at the other or anything. They're just really great. They're such good little snake children. Oh, I love them. Oops, I just knocked the cord. Let me see if I missed any questions. My favorite morph of Leper Gecko is the one that is not problematic, so no enigmas, no lemon frost. I kind of just really like the more simple ones, like a tangerine or a Max Snow. I think that they're some of the most beautiful Leper Geckos, and they're always really like big and healthy looking. I watch a lot of Snake Discovery, and they had 2 spontaneously die, even though they were perfectly healthy, which is still confusing. Were they like babies that had just been born there, or were they full grown? Do you plan on cohabbing? Yes. I'm familiar with Snake Discovery, by the way. So no one needs to recommend the channel, trust me. I have already watched the garter videos that have been put up there. That was forever ago. But yes, they are cohabbed, and I do plan on cohabbing them for eternity, for forever. Hi! Mine is a high yellow. I like high yellow morphs. Why don't you like Ecoworth? It's dusty. It's crusty, it's nasty. Ecoworth is fine when you mix it with other things, but on its own, it just has a tendency to be really dusty and really dry, and it also, when it's wet, it molds really fast. It's not a soil. That's my problem with it. It's not a soil. So like, if you were to take a handful of organic topsoil, right, like a handful of it, and you were to take a handful of Ecoworth, you can see quite a huge difference between them, both in the texture, the way that they retain moisture, how dusty they are or lack of dust. I love organic topsoil. I wish I had access to bags that weren't like from the hardware store, because mine's always filled with other junk and I have to like bake it, sift it. Oh, it's the most annoying process ever. Hate that. But Ecoworth is fine like in humid hides, or if you mix it with other things. I just don't like it on its own, personally. I know this is horrible, but my gecko went without eating for like a week because he didn't want to eat mealworms, and then when he ate again, he don't refuse food. It's not uncommon for geckos to go off food for like a week at a time. I don't think that you should feel too terrible about that. Just make sure that they are eating consistently, you know, after the fact. Ouch, my hair is being pulled. I can't watch the video, but I can chat, so can you respond in the chat? I am a beginner and have never has had a frog. I'm getting fire belly and tips. I cannot respond in the chat at this moment because I'm on my phone and like there's no room with what I'm doing right now. Oh, someone asked if I named my snakes yet. I have not. I have not picked names. I'm having a real hard time naming them, to be honest. Both full grown. One was actually nearly headless snake, which yeah, but the other was one of their breeders. I don't know. that can be the case with a lot of reptiles and amphibians, that they just kind of randomly die. And unless you have a necropsy done, and even sometimes those can be inconclusive. Oh, that's good news. Oh, I can't respond to that right now, but I really want to. I just got a text message. That's really good news. Okay, sorry. Sometimes reptiles and amphibians can just die, and like I said, unless you get a necropsy, you might not know. Hi, I love your channel. How has your day been? My day's been okay, really slow, but that's good because I've had a lot of really busy days, so it's nice to have a chill day. I just love wild tip leopard geckos because that's what mine is. They're so pretty. Oh my god, there's so many, did I miss? I'm new to your channel. What kind of snakes do you have? So I actually didn't have snakes up until recently. I've been keeping reptiles since 2014, but I didn't start keeping snakes until like, I don't know, like a month ago, and I have 2 garters. Hold on, I missed comments. Let me go back. My Leper Gecko's name is Tokyo. That's super cute. Gilbert and Grape for snake names. Garters can have a quite variable lifespan. I could probably dig out a journal if you want a source. That'd be great. I'm new to your channel. What kind of snakes do you have? Oh, I answered that. Is it normal for Leos to just poop the urate, or should I take him to the vet? If it only happens once or twice, it's okay. If it happens all the time, then you should probably seek out a vet visit. Am I gonna get a Leper Gecko? I'm gonna get a Leper Gecko soon. Congratulations! He loves roaches and no longer refuses food, so I guess that week made him eat. Yeah, plus they can also get bored of food, so just make sure you're switching it up. Do you know of any good salamander breeders? I want one, but not a wild-caught one. So the thing about tiger salamanders is they don't breed readily in captivity, so they're pretty much all wild-caught. What do you think about small-scale leopard gecko breeding? For me? Are you asking me if I'm going to breed? Because the answer to that is a no. Yeah, I want captive bred salamanders. Yeah, it's just they're not as available. What you can do, so you don't support, if you're not interested in supporting capturing them from the wild, is you can get one for rehoming. So from one person who's just already has it in captivity and is rehoming it for whatever reason. That's where I got Neville from, a situation of rehoming. How is Neville doing? Neville's doing great. Neville has actually been burrowing in her substrate, which means she's going to go down for, like, burrowing like deep, which means she's going to go down for brumation soon. So I had to call 3 exotic vets to take my bunny. Apparently COVID P. All I know is that put a huge toll on our vet clinics. Yeah, all I know is I have heard that from everybody. People who just keep dogs, people who have exotics. When I first called to schedule a vet appointment for my snakes, it was 4 weeks, it was 5 weeks out, which is insane. I've never had them that far out before. Usually the wait time is like 2 weeks for a regular appointment. But I was like, no, I need to be seen sooner than that. And then they found a closer one, which is still 2.5 weeks out. And I was like, put me on the cancellation list. And fortunately, someone canceled the very next morning. So I was like, let's go. I'm going to the vet next morning. And it was like 8 a.m., which is so early, but it was good. But yeah, they're just backed up, and everything is different. The way they're handling, you know, patients, and how only usually like either no one can come in for the appointment or only one person can come in. It's way different. I just wanted to stop in and say hello. I have a migraine. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I was just going to ask about Miss Neville. Miss Neville is doing great. She has been burrowing a bit more lately, like burrowing deeper in her substrate. And I think it's because we've had temperature change here and she's getting ready to brumate. So I won't get to see her for a couple months. But she's still out right now for a little bit longer. What is your favorite animal or reptile? My favorite animal is a tiger. In fact, I'm wearing a tiger on my shirt right now. And my favorite reptile... I'm just gonna have to go with leopard gecko because I have so many of them. But I really do like my dream reptiles when I started keeping reptiles were like a red-eyed crocodile skink and a Chinese cave gecko. I also really love bearded dragons. I might be basic. It's okay. It's okay. Also, garter snakes have been amazing. Make sure I didn't miss any. No, more about the future of the hobby. The hobby of breeding? I honestly don't know, because I'm not a breeder. I'm not super into like breeding side for reptiles or leper geckos, I can only hope that because there's like more people that keep pet reptiles, I feel like it's a growing hobby because of that. I can hope that people will demand more ethics behind breeding, or they will support ethical breeders over unethical ones. However, that's just me being hopeful. I genuinely don't really know if that'll ever really become the thing, unless it's like illegal to breed problematic morphs like Enigma or Lemon Frost. But hey, Jackson, hey, Jackson. He's barking at the neighbor. Come here, Moochie. Come. Oh, hi, Angel. Don't fall. It's Jackson. Do. He's sitting in my lap now. You can't see him. My dream pet is a blue-tongued skink. We have one of those, and she's great. Love her. Love her face. She's so cute. We need one more video of Miss Neville before she goes in for her beauty sleep. I will make sure I get, even if it's just a snippet, I'll make sure I get something. Okay, let me go. I know I missed some comments. How often should leper geckos poop? Mine only poops like every 5 days. It depends how often you feed them. It depends if their temperatures are correct. It depends how old they are. And also, all reptiles have different poop schedules. And that goes for all different species. So, if it's something they've always done, they're probably okay. If it's something that's recent, and they haven't changed their diet at all, or the temperatures, it might be something to look into. I got a visit in a week, and it's a 2-hour drive. Oh, my vet is only 20 minutes. I can't even imagine. Hey, tiger salamander. Yes, I have a tiger salamander. Do you have any tortoises? I don't, but I would like to get one. I very much would. I want a cat gecko. They're super cool looking. Migraine here too. Oh, I'm so sorry. Migraines are the worst. I haven't had a migraine in a few days, and that's like a blessing because I usually have like at least 3 a week. Man, those crow or ravens are going off. First of all, we have I know they're called a murder of crows. We have a murder of crows that lives in my cul-de-sac, and they just hop between everyone's houses, and they just like squawk all day long. I love them. Like, I could watch them all day. I think they're the most amazing. I love crows. My favorite bird. If you could get a large lizard, what would it be? I've always said that if I was going to get something really big, that it would be a tegu, but I don't know if I'd ever actually get one, because, you don't know what the future holds, right? My dream pet, I read that already. We need one more video. Got that already. I would love to have a tortoise. The idea of having a lifelong friend is so nice. Yeah, tortoises are also just, like, there's something about them that's really, like, calming. You know what I mean? They just seem like they have a really good energy about them. Whereas, like, some reptiles just have, like, they have chaotic energy. A tortoise just seems, peaceful energy. But I've never had a tortoise. Maybe they are chaotic. One thing I love about Tokyo, my leopard gecko, is that she is a funny hunter and she loves to climb her log. I love that all leopard geckos have, like, different personalities. How much are 1-year-old female leopard geckos supposed to weigh? So, it's going to vary from gecko to gecko because all geckos are built differently. They all have different statures. And at 1-year-old, they're still putting on their fat. Like, they're not just done growing because they're a year old. Their body is still going to change a bit. Like, they probably won't grow any more lengthwise, but they will fill out more. I'd say, like, depending on the size of the gecko, you want it to be, like, no smaller than 40 grams. So, like, maybe 50, 60 grams is good. But some geckos are really big and would look underweight at 60 grams. So it's really hard to say for sure. My leper gecko is so calm now. My tortoise is goofy, chaotic, but she's a good vibes only girl. See, I knew it. I knew I had the wrong idea. They definitely could be chaotic. We have an Argentinian black and white tegu. They make really great pet for the right person. It's like having a big dog. I know, I like watch other people keeping them and I'm like, that's what it would be. Like, I'm not really interested in having an iguana. Not super interested in having a Savannah monitor. I don't know why. Like, I like other people's, but for some reason I just don't feel drawn to them myself. Maybe if I met one, I'd feel different. I sort of have a snake. Well, it's my godchild snake because the family hates snakes, so I just call my friend Snake Mine for fun, even though she's only had her for 3 days. That's cute, though. My gecko is currently climbing all over my laptop. My geckos are currently sleeping. For my second reptile, I want a blue-tongued skink Indonesian. We have a northern, but Indonesians are cool. My gecko is in a 55-gallon. In the future, I'll probably go for a 4x2x2 or larger. As long as it's heated properly and it's decorated well, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think reptiles will give the space that you use them as long as it is properly filled with enrichment, so they feel like secure, and also so they can utilize all the space in the enclosure, and also that it's properly heated, because if you just have one tiny heat pad for all that, it really isn't going to create the proper ambient temperatures, you know? How much was your leper gecko? Which one? What do I do if my leper gecko keeps jumping out of my hand? One time I was handling her and I was on my bed and she jumped and almost jumped off my bed. Sit on the floor instead, because your gecko probably is going to keep jumping and you just have to kind of work at it and get her to calm down. But if you sit on the floor, then you don't run the risk of her jumping off the bed. When I first got my gecko, he had stuck shut on his toes and some of his toes were dying. Unfortunately, that's pretty common. What was the price for your first leper gecko? The first leper gecko I ever got is Fritz, and I got him from a rescue that is no longer open. It's called Happy Gecko Rescue, and I think I paid like 25 bucks plus shipping. I can't remember, it wasn't a lot, but I can't remember for sure what it was because it was like 5 years ago. I do remember, however, that it was on July 1st, 2015. I have a blue tegu and I'm here to say they are not all dog-like. I've spent so much time trying to tame him and he still wants to eat me. It's like having a velociraptor. Yeah, I've seen some peoples that are like really chill and I've seen others that are like attack demons. So yeah, it's definitely like a toss-up. Plus, I know that like some can tame down like the more you work with them, but like there's only so much you can do if that's just how their nature is. I have a leper gecko and I want to get another reptile in the future. What reptiles do you recommend? Well, what reptiles are you interested in? That's going to matter more than anything. What interests you? Can you afford it? Can you maintain it long term? I made an enclosure for mine out of a bookshelf from watching your videos. Oh, cool! I actually have all my gecko bookshelves for sale. So if anyone here is around northern Indiana or wants to drive to northern Indiana to pick up a bookshelf, send me an email. What's the best beginner leper gecko enclosure? I think everyone would probably most people I feel like start out with aquariums, but if you want to skip that entirely and go right for a custom enclosure like one of these, I recommend it because you just save money in the long run. And also if you're getting a baby, you can start out with something small and then build up to it. But even so, you could just save the time by not like buying a bunch of different aquariums to age up. Just buy like one size and then move them up into this. Was Fritz a birthday present to yourself? Fritz was kind of a birthday present because it was close, but the only leper geckos I've ever gotten as a birthday present were Kinvara, who I got recently, and that was from Aaron, and then also Edard, who was also from Aaron. Fritz was just a gecko. I had really wanted a leper gecko from this person, and I was set on a female, and her name was Daisy, I think. And like I had applied to adopt her, filled out the paperwork and everything, and then like the day I filled out my paperwork and sent it in, she was like, oh, Daisy just got another application, but that one came in like minutes before yours. And I was like, So then I was like, okay, I'll just go with Fritz. And I originally didn't want Fritz because he was a boy and I wanted a girl, but it ended up working out fine because Fritz is great. What is the oldest reptile you own? Probably Renly. I think Renly's the oldest because I got her in 2015 and they told me she was 6 or 7 years old at that time. So she's probably the oldest I have. But the one I've had the longest would be Ree. Ree was born in 2012, so she's 8. Actually, she's 8 like tomorrow, the 28th. Are biotanks safe for juvenile Leos? I think the recommendation is to stick with something that's not like more complicated for a juvenile, and then move to a complicated enclosure with a bunch of like substrate and a DIY background and all that for an adult, just because by then you can like rely on their behavior patterns and their health and yada yada. But I'm sure people have put like a juvenile in a bio before and been fine. Let's see. Would you recommend a large Exoterra for a Leper Gecko? Can you tell me what the dimensions are in inches? Because I don't know what size that is. Can an adult Leper Gecko live in a 20-gallon? I would go larger than a 20-gallon personally, unless it's like stunted growth or metabolic bone disease or neurological condition, something like that. I took in 3 female geckos. One of them almost always keeps to the cold side of the enclosure. Are they all cohabbed? They're living separate. Have you ever had those moments where you feel like you bonded with a reptile, then you see a better morph and start feeling bad? No. Because I don't care about morph whatsoever. I don't ever pick a gecko because of morph. Like, a lot of times people reach out to me to take the gecko, so I don't get to pick what it looks like at all. I just take in what I see needing rescue, so the morph absolutely doesn't matter. Now, that said, of course, like, a flashy morph is pretty. Like, that's just the nature of it. But that's just not how I get them. I'm amazed that you can remember their birthdays. I remember some of their birthdays. Like, I was told some of them, and then some of them I wasn't told, and I just have to guess their age. But, like, the really first reptiles that I got, I can remember their birthdays and the dates I got them. But as time goes on, I can just, like, remember the month. I can't remember the exact day. I have it all written down in, like, a spreadsheet on my laptop, but I don't have it committed to memory. I also have, if like they were sent to me with their date of hatch on their Tupperware lid, I have that, so it's like some more evidence, but I don't have it committed to memory. My Leper Gecko has like tiny white things at the top of each of its middle toenails. I tried to get it off because I thought it was stuck shut, and I started to bleed a tiny bit, but I think it must be weird colored skin on his toe. Have you ever noticed weird colored skin on your gecko's toes? It's like white. So some geckos do have white toe tips. You'll notice the difference between toe tips and stuck shed because stuck shed will be flaky and peely, whereas skin will be soft. Yes, they've been cohabbed since birth. Okay, so the reason that one stays on the cold side then is because they're cohabbed. I do not recommend cohabbing leper geckos regardless of how long they've been together. Even 2 geckos that I had that did amazing with cohabbing, I separated, and they've done just fine separate. So I'm really not an advocate for cohabbing. The one I'm looking at is 24 by 18 by 12. I'd recommend going larger than that for a leopard gecko, unless it is a special needs case, like it has a neurological problem or metabolic bone disease or stunted growth or some sort of neurological condition, or it's missing a limb, that sort of thing. Can I show my Leo to my dog, or is it not safe? It is not safe. I don't recommend that. I want a ball python to name it Noodle or Kakashi. Name it Kakashi. Kakashi, 100%. Noodle is like what everyone calls their snake. Go Kakashi. There are so many morphs constantly being produced. If you try and keep up, you'll be put out of pocket by literal thousands. Best just finding an animal you like and sticking. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also important to remember that even though one might be aesthetically prettier than the other, it doesn't mean that it is any better, right? Like, it doesn't mean that just because it looks better that it actually is a better animal. It is deserving of just as much like affection and proper husbandry as any other species, as any other pet. So for example, an Enigma leper gecko, very pretty, very flashy. A lemon frost, very pretty, right? Both of those have their issues. Then there's also morphs that don't have issues that are super pretty. And then there's morphs that are just kind of more dull or normal. And all 3 of those, regardless of their issues, regardless of whether they're pretty or not, all 3 of them deserve to have the same type of husbandry. I mean, unless you have to have special accommodations made for your special needs ones. But they deserve to have the same type of care and respect given to them, even if they're not as pretty as the next one. I'm going on vacation for 2 days. How can I keep the humidity up for my Leo while I'm gone? Do you have someone watching after them? Also, a lot of times, some of the prettiest morphs may also have issues that are hidden. Many ball pythons contain the spider gene, but don't look like it. Yeah, a lot of pretty morphs, a lot of morphs come from mutations, and when you have a mutation, it can have other issues that it presents. You should try heat lamps for your gecko someday. They're Catherine Merle and Cryptic love to bask. So what I have right now, a lot of my geckos don't sleep under the hides, they sleep on top of them. Because I have the heat running across the top and across the bottom in the back, and it creates a really good ambient temperature. So they actually just like warm up their whole bodies throughout the enclosure. So if they want to be cooler, they come to the front. If they want to be warmer, they go to the back. If that makes any sense. Even though I don't support Petco, should I get a Leper Gecko from PetSmart just because it's cheap? Absolutely not. I don't recommend buying animals from pet stores. Nope. Nope. I don't recommend it whatsoever. When you were younger, has your parents ever asked if you are okay and you say yes, but they keep asking, then you're no longer okay and they get angry because you're angry? Being young is hard. That's all I can say about that, honestly. Being young is hard. And dealing with parents at that age is hard, but it does get better when you're an adult. It honestly does. Hey y'all, hey Jessica, your channel is awesome. Thank you so much. Can the mealworms eat oranges? Yes, they can. My mealworms never break down orange peel, but they will break down the orange, like the citrusy part of the fruit. I don't know much about the spider gene personally. I don't keep ball pythons, so I can't say whether it splays or not. I do know that they're not the only ball python morph to have wobbling issues, so. Yeah, the spider ball python gene is this is an opinion, and it should be more clear cut than like someone's opinion, right? But unfortunately, some people think the spider gene is fine, and some people think it's bad. I think it's bad. Just like I think the same for Enigma and Lemon Frost. Can Leos eat too much calcium? So they can, however, it's just not that common. So like they can have like too much calcium. It's a calcium overdose or something like that, but it's not that common. It's almost midnight in the UK, staying up for this. Oh, thank you! Oh my god, that cute little dog! I've never seen that before. Thank you so much. You didn't ask a question! Do you have any questions? Please let me know, I'll answer. I won't have any help watching my Leo while I'm gone for 2 days. What is your household humidity, and what humidity are you trying to achieve for the Leper Gecko enclosure? Because for 2 days, you're probably just fine. How are you doing with this pandemic going on? Oh my god. I'm bored. I'm unemployed. I don't have health insurance. This is a bad year. Bad year. I loathe it entirely. Bad time. I haven't gotten coronavirus though. So, phew. So when they have too much calcium, don't they get armpit bubbles? Okay, so there's a few different like discussions about what that is. So some people will say it's too much like vitamins. Some people say it's too much calcium, and some people will say you see it in overweight geckos. I think you see it in geckos that have just been fed a bunch like really fast. So like a lot of times when you get a gecko that's a rescue and then like, you want to put a lot of weight on it fast, a lot of that is going to build up in the armpits, and I think that it's an argument for both a gecko gaining weight fast and also for putting on or for having too many calcium and vitamins too fast, because when you're constantly feeding them to, you know, bulk them up, then they're also going to get a lot of vitamins and calcium that way as well. And it could be too much for them at that time. So a leper gecko will rapid breathe when it is excited or when it's startled, which could also be excited. Excited usually has a positive connotation to it, but excited could also mean that you're just overstimulated. How often do you change out feeder insect food? Oh, I feed my feeder insects every day, and it doesn't have to get changed out because they eat all of it. How often do you feed your geckos, and how... Wait, come back. How often do you feed your geckos, and how often do you dust to feed your animals? I feed my geckos twice a week, and I dust with calcium one feeding, calcium with D3 and multivitamin one feeding, and then one feeding without, and then one feeding with calcium, and I do that cycle. They also have calcium dishes in their enclosures. It also depends, because like if I'm feeding them hornworms, it doesn't get dusted. No, you do not have to feed leper geckos daily. That will lead to obesity. Unless, like, if they're a juvenile, then you can feed them every day or every other day. But adults do not need to eat more than 3 times a week.
You're not at the house!
I know!
Well, I'm the only one who replied for like a half hour.
I'm in a live chat.
Huh?
I'm literally live streaming.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know if anybody
Mm-hmm. Well, now that she screamed it, so my sister and her husband were buying a house, and they got approved. So that's what I was like, oh, that excited text that came in was about that. But I haven't had time to respond, so now my mom just yelled up at everybody. Jesus Christ. Ay, ay, ay. Cannot wait to move. What is better, Krusty or Leo for holding? Oh, God, Leo. 100%. Crested geckos do not like being held. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. They jump a lot. At least in my experience. Or they poop on you. Or they bite. I have experienced all of those. When people say to make sure the food is no bigger than the width between the eyes, does that mean the length? Okay, it's literally the width. So, like, a superworm is long, right? You can feed your leper gecko a long insect. That's fine. The width is important because the space between their eyes is like how wide their throat is going to be. So if you offer something that's a lot wider than the space between their eyes, it's like to help you realize that their throat isn't that wide, so the food isn't going to be able to fit down, if that makes sense. Now, like, if the food is really, like, flat and bendable, like a Dubia Roach, you can offer something that's a bit bigger than the space between their eyes. Or a hornworm, for example, because they're just so, like, gushy and, like, bendable. But it's just a good rule of thumb to follow, especially for someone who's new to keeping leopard geckos. I think I like common color better than other morphs. It has the leopard reputation in it. Yeah, some of my most, like, beautiful geckos are normal morphs. Or, like, common morphs. Don't be in a hurry to move out. It isn't easy out there. Ugh, I know. But, like, I'm getting old and I really just need my own space, you know? You know? Ugh. Oh my god! Do you see this? There's a knot in my hair. Oh no, honey, that is not gonna fly with me. I have to get this now. I won't be able to focus if I don't. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Okay, cool. You don't look old. I'm ancient. I'm literally 2 days away from turning to dust. I'm old. I'm only 26. But I feel like 26 is too old to be living at home, you know? So that's why I'm like, I gotta figure it out, you know? But this is a tough year. I tell you what. I lost my job this year. I lost my health insurance this year. It's a seller's market right now. And houses are going for more than they're worth. I'm like, what kind of world is this for a millennial? You know what I mean? What kind of world? Seriously though, you are doing a great thing. I am glad someone cares so much about the unfortunate special ones. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Like, this is one of my few passions in life. So that means a lot. Thank you. Best food for leper geckos, like, health-wise, is a Dubia Roach. That is, like, the best staple feeder. But I think it's also really good to offer variety. So you could offer mealworms, superworms, waxworms on occasion. You could offer hornworms. You could offer black soldier fly larvae. You could offer phoenix worms. You could offer all kinds of stuff. The last time I joined one of your live streams, my crested gecko was still a hatchling. Oh my god, I know, it's been a long time since I've been live. Be right back, disappearing jutsu. That's funny. Do common morph leper geckos cost under $30 at Reptile Expo? Yeah, they're not. Regular morphs or common morphs are not expensive, especially if you get one that's like pet only. Like if you were to go to Gecko Boa's site and go to the pet only geckos, some of the like more common morphs there are not really expensive. Just make sure you research the breeder before you buy the gecko. That way you're not supporting an unethical breeder, or getting a gecko from a breeder that just isn't like great, but doesn't have a great reputation. Finding small enough feeders for baby geckos is impossible. That's why I think having a Dubia Roach colony is the best thing for anybody who has exotics. Because there's tiny ones, there's medium ones, and there's kind of bigger ones, and then there's full-grown ones. And you can feed all those sizes to different sizes reptiles. So like, my tiny toads and frogs have small dubia. My leper geckos will have medium dubia. My beta dragons will have big dubia. Like, there's, all my pets can be fed with my roaches, the sizes that are in the colony. It's amazing. Is it a myth that superworms will eat through the stomach of a leper gecko? Yes, that is a myth. I have fed mine superworms for years and never had that problem, not even with any of the special needs ones. Dubia colony, how? Buy roaches, get a bin that has like plastic sides, like a Tupperware container, but a big one like a tote. Put some cardboard egg crate in there. Get an under tank heater and dump all the roaches in there. Let them live on the egg crate and feed them. You can feed them carrots. You can feed them the stems for greens. Is that a bunny? Is that a squirrel? Oh, that's so cute. It's a squirrel. You can feed them apples. You can feed them oranges, banana peels. You can feed them all kinds of stuff. I personally choose to feed fruits and veggies. Vegetables more often. I said parrots. No, carrots. C. I hope that's reversed to you. C. I don't know. Whatever. Carrots. But just make sure that you are feeding... Oh no. 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 The neighbor's golden retriever just got out and it is, oh, they have 3 of them. Holy shit. Well, okay. This just turned into a production. So they have 3 golden retrievers. 2 of them stayed around and got in the car. I think the other one went back in. Jackson, stop. Sorry, that was distracting. I didn't even know they still had those golden retrievers. What cute dogs, though. Sorry about that. I just got distracted with cute dogs. You want to see my pupper? Jackson, come. Jaxie! I have not played Among Us. I'm not really into video games. Jackson, hey! I called you, not the window. Jackson. Oh my god. Ouch. Jackson, come. Jackson, up. Here he is. Doody doo 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 doo. Okay. Doody doody doo doo. Jackson. He just wants to go growl out the window. Jackson. Mother, release me. I got your hair in my mouth. How much to feed a Leo? Is it full grown or juvenile? I know, Jackson. I stopped feeding my gecko mealworm because it might add more. I think it's pronounced chitin. They're not bad in moderation, but they shouldn't be fed as a staple. But some people feed them as a staple. So I mean, really, just as long as your temperatures are right and you're using a variety of foods, you should be fine offering mealworms. Let me go back through here. I know I missed some stuffs. Yes, you can feed leper geckos baby Dubia Roaches. And you can also feed juvenile leper geckos Dubia Roaches. Oh my gosh, stop moving. Yeah, I think breeding Dubia Roaches is super easy. You just have to be really patient with your colony and don't start feeding like out of the colony until they've had a lot of time to grow. I'm 34, just wait. Only 8 years. Can you give advice on how much to feed a Leo? It's a juvenile. Okay, how many pets do I have in total? Like 65, I think. Juvenile. Oh, I got a tattoo for anyone who doesn't know. Okay, so a juvenile, you're going to want to give it food daily. And then as it starts to hit like that 6-month range, you're going to give it food every other day. Lab Doxy. Okay, so Jackson is he's a 25% miniature poodle. He is 12, Jackson. He's 25% miniature poodle, 12.5% golden retriever, 12.5% shih tzu, 12.5% Labrador retriever, 12.5% chow chow, and 25% mixed group that they could not determine what he is. So, he is a mutt through and through. What's your dream reptile to own right now? Well, it was garter snakes, but I got those. I would say it is probably the European glass lizard, or legless lizard. And that's been on my list for a long time now. I really love them, and I would like to have one, but they're super hard to find. So, just have to keep waiting. I also would really love sandfish skinks. But yeah, they're kind of hard to come by too. Peter's banded skinks would be cool. And that's pretty much it. I don't have a lot of like a lot more on my list at the moment, and to be honest, I don't really have space. I don't have the space for anything else. Not until I move. How are you, Jessica? How are the loves of my life, Benjamin, Jojen, and Merlin? So, Benjamin is great. He, first of all 3 of them ate last night. Jojen was on Substrate, but because of his white and yellow syndrome, he could not stay on Substrate, so he had to go back to kitchen cabinet liner, which is fine. He has a dig box if he wants to go dig there. But he keeps, you know how like the white and yellow and neuro geckos, they do this with their head, they bob it. He kept doing that, and he would get Substrate stuck in his nose. So Tormund actually had the same issue, and Tormund had to have no Substrate. I wanted to give it the option. I wanted to give them the option of having Substrate, but they couldn't do it, so I had to take the Substrate out. But like I said, they do have dig boxes, and they still stayed in upgraded enclosures, so both Tormund and Jojen are in 36 by 18 by 12 enclosures, so they have plenty of enrichment, plenty of space. They just can't have Substrate, which is a bummer, but, you know, they're special babies. It is what it is. Would a monitor be a good pet? I have no idea. I don't have one. How many normal mealworms should I feed every other day? Is this for a juvenile? If it's for a juvenile, you can feed, if it's like the big, like giant mealworms, you're going to want to feed less of those. If it's for the smaller mealworms, or like the ones that are kind of still babies, you want to feed more of those. I would say as much as your gecko can consume in a few minutes time. I wouldn't go more than like 10 small ones, or like 6 to 8 medium to big ones. I don't know, it's gonna definitely be trial and error, because each gecko's appetite is different, and like each gecko's body and stature is different as well. Like they grow differently. As long as you're making sure they're getting food in them, and you're not just feeding them like 1 or 2 worms at a time, you're gonna be okay. Are giant mealworms bad? I heard they are treated with hormones. I have never heard that they're bad, and I've also never heard they're treated with hormones, but I don't really feed giant mealworms. I have my own mealworm breeding thing in there, and they're regular mealworms, so no hormones on them. How long will you be live? I need to eat dinner. I will be live for probably another half hour or so. As long as you guys keep asking questions, I'll still be here, so. My colony just died off randomly, so now I'm stuck with only a few that are small enough for my baby geckos. Yeah, colonies can die off randomly if something spreads throughout the colony. A lot of times it's like fungus related, if there isn't enough ventilation. I keep my wow, I just lost my train of thought. I keep my dubias in a bin that has absolutely no top. Like, it's just completely open, so it's a lot of ventilation. And I don't overfeed them. Like, I feed them enough that the food is gone the next morning. So I put food in there at nighttime, and then the next morning when I come in, there's no food left. I do that to make sure that the food doesn't sit and fester and get nasty and gross, because that's what's going to cause problems in your colony. Do you have a skincare routine? No. My skincare routine is I wash my face every few days with a bar of soap. I'm not even kidding you. I do lotion. I do lotion when I wash my face. That's it. I exfoliate in the shower sometimes. This is just natural. I'm sorry. Oh, I do face peels sometimes. But like, yeah, I genuinely don't try that hard with my face. I really don't have the time. I imagine if like I had problems with my face, I'd do more to it, but yeah, this is just how it is. I'll make sure I didn't miss anything. You're doing what's best for them. You're a great caregiver. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Do you have a favorite song? Right now, my favorite song is In This Shirt by the Irrepressibles. That song makes me cry all the time. I want to get a tattoo of it right here. Opposite of this one, right here. But I don't have tattoo money right now. Oh, if I had extra income right now, I'd just be tattooing like crazy. But I don't have that. I don't have the coin right now. What is the best treat for a juvenile Leo? Really just their staple food is great because they're just still eating so much, and also a variety of staple foods. You can offer small hornworms, it has to be small ones, to juveniles as a treat, but really they're excited to eat anything at that age, so whatever you can offer them that's variety is great. I love you, Jessica. Thank you so much for being the first big YouTuber. Thank you for thinking I'm a big YouTuber. But of course, I am here to respond for sure. I appreciate you guys. Do you breed your leper geckos? No, I do not breed them. What is the best treat for oh, I already read that. Plus they can't climb and males can't fly with their wings. Fun fact, when I first got a Dubia Roach colony back in 2014, I saw the males and almost had a panic attack on the spot because I saw wings and I don't like flying insects, and I was about to just, nope, no thank you. You can keep your Dubia Roach bin. I don't want it. I'm not here for it. But he was like, they can't fly, and I was like, that sounds amazing because I don't want them to fly. I'm listening to this while cleaning my rat's cage. That's lovely. Mine is Moonlight. Moonlight. Is that a name of a pet? How's Liana? I have her twin. He attacks me all the time. Liana is a psychopath. Liana is nutso. Nothing has changed there. I moved her into a new enclosure and she still like attacks the front whenever she sees me, thinking I have food for her. She's nuts. One of my favorite Spider-Man villains is the Lizard. I'm not familiar with the Lizard. Viserion, oh I love that name. I love you reading my comment. I'm legit such a big fan of yours. Thank you so much, I appreciate you. You're one of my first YouTubers I learned about, Leper Gecko. Thank you for making your videos. Thank you for watching them. Like Jackson's looking out the window again. Hello. Are Mario worms okay for juvenile Leo? So if they are full grown, no. You're going to want to get ones that are smaller. If they're a smaller one, it should be fine. I'm doing some maintenance on my dwarf hamster's enclosure right now. That's so fun. I think hamster enclosures have like some of the coolest designs because you can do so much with them. Since I'm learning new information, I'm going to make a reptile information binder. That's a good idea. One of my favorite Spider-Man villains. Oh, I read that. Do you think Duck would be a stupid name for a hamster? Absolutely not. Who is Liana? Is she a Leo too? Yeah, she's my Max Snow Blizzard. She's little and she's absolutely nuts. She's mean. She will bite me. She'll hiss at me. She's crazy. But it's okay. We love her for that. Hey, Jackson. My hamster's name is Happy Fofo. I love your videos. Thank you. That's a funny name, Happy Fofo. Jackson! 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 He's growling at the window right now. Hey! Jackson! Jackson! Hey! Don't make me come get you. Come here. Come. Come. Oh, the song Moonlight. Oh, okay. I don't know if I've heard that or not. Shh, baby. It's just someone reeling in their trash can. Jesus. Jackson. Argos is a great pet name. I agree with you. Would you ever get sugar gliders? Personally, I don't want them. My fiance wants them, so I might have them someday just because he wants them. I do like crested geckos. I have 4 personally, and my fiance has 5, so we have 9 crested geckos here. It's getting dark in here. Let me see if I can get some better lights. Jackson, stop it. Is that any better? I don't actually think it's any better. Ow. I'm dyeing my hair. That's fun. I dye my hair red. It's actually not this color. You think it would be though, because it looks like it should be. I should have been born a ginger. I forget my dog's bark because she's super quiet. So like you never hear her bark, so you just don't remember what it sounds like. Oh my god, I love you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. What lights would you recommend for a Leper Gecko bioactive tank? I don't have any Leper Gecko bioactive tanks, so I'm not the right person to ask. Not bleaching it, but doing it purple. That's fun. My sister's hair is purple right now. My dog's name is B2. Does it stand for anything? I have a dog named Sam. I have a dog named Zach. And I have a dog named Jackson. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have you seen the TikToker Kyle Thomas, who has bad care for exotics, but is still famous and people defend him? I have made it a strong point to avoid animal TikTok. So you know how like when you first start out on TikTok, you can like kind of cater what your feed is going to look like by like the longer you spend time on one video, that's like the type of videos they'll give you, or if you like a video, they'll give you more like that. Well, every time I come across one that has an animal in it, I just say not interested. I actually hold the screen until the thing pops up and then I say not interested in this content. And so, my TikTok doesn't give me any animal content. And that's probably why I don't do so well on TikTok, because they don't put my TikTok out to animal people even though I post animal content. The amount of bad animal stuff on TikTok is, whew, like I can't, it like physically hurts to see that stuff. So, I can't be bothered. I can't, it's bad enough that I see it on Twitter and Instagram, so. I have a dog named, is it Plaz? That's cool. Can you make a video on how to convince your parents to get you a corn snake? No, I actually don't really agree with the idea of like changing your parents' mind. I think if you're going to, it has to be something that you do organically. So like you have to show them that you're responsible and that you could be financially providing for it. I also think it's a good idea to like write out their entire like care and everything, so it shows that you've done your proper research. And then also do things for your parents, like to show that you can be responsible prior to getting it. Like by like say, okay, look, I've saved up this amount of money to get the enclosure, and I've saved up this amount of money for like emergency vet costs, and I've saved up this much to get the snake. Like I'm putting in this effort, and you can see that I'm going to be responsible. When you show your parents that, if they're reasonable people and they're not afraid of snakes, then they might just be more open-minded to that. But I don't, when it comes to people who have like people who are under 18 who have like to be responsible for an animal, it ultimately ends up falling on the parent, because the parent is responsible for the child until 18, sometimes even afterwards. But it's just like, if you show them that you are actually taking this seriously, then they might take how serious your intention is as well. Leona's twin is named Viserion, by the way. I even have a scar on my finger from him. Oh no! Blizzards are known to be bitey. Some blizzards are big, some blizzards are small. I think it's just what you get. I got it from a breeder, so it stands for breeder too. My duck is GC for good crispy. Oh my gosh. I have 2 mice, Freya and Skade, 2 guinea pigs, Rupert and, is it Miko? 1 beta, Creature, 1 Leo, Petri, and a weenie dog named Stinky. That's so cute. I want to make sure I didn't miss any comments. I'm sorry, I'm going backwards. I love food. Same. I just get the corn snake. They will love it. Don't get it without their permission. That's not the right way to do it. What's your question? My grandmother had a German Shepherd Husky that died. He was the best. I used to ride on him when I was like 3. Never snapped at me. His name was Chester. I had a rat named Chester. I have a sugar glider, Sugar, a guinea pig, Peaches, a ferret, Bandit, a cat, Oliver, a corn snake, Viper, and of course my leper gecko, Dean. That's some lovely names. You honestly deserve 10 million subs. If I had 10 million subs, I would die. I don't put out nearly nice enough content for that. Sorry for losing your job. Thank you. It was a long time ago, but I would like to have stayed employed. Do you know Melanie Martinez? The name sounds familiar, but I don't. I have MTS. It's bad. I don't know what that is. You're way better compared to most of the exotic YouTubers because you actually take good care of them. I do appreciate that. You're getting an AFT. We're getting an AFT as our first reptile family pet. Should we get a male or a female? It's going to be up to you. They have pros and cons for each of them. Females are usually easier to handle, but they have the ovulatory problems and egg laying. Males can be a little bit like more shy or more grumpy, but they don't really have as many reproductive health problems, although they do have that option of having sperm plugs and also having clogged femoral pores, but it's not super common. But I think you'd be fine either way, honestly, with whatever one you get. I have a very, very grumpy cat who is currently under a blanket, falling off the couch slowly. The only thing holding him on the couch is the blanket. That's hilarious. Whoa, some Leo bites can actually hurt. Yes. Yes, they can. Especially if they get you, like, in the in-between skin. That's not pleasant. What's your favorite ice cream? Mine is chocolate chip cookie dough. Okay, if there's nothing else in it, like chocolate and strawberry side by side, ooh, it hits different, okay. But if there's stuff in it, cookies and cream is good. Mint chocolate chip is good. Cookie dough is good. I can't think of other flavors right now. I don't like anything with nuts. So, no. And I don't like plain vanilla ice cream. It doesn't taste like anything. It's just cold. Multi-tank syndrome! That's hilarious. I love that. I actually kept a lot of fish tanks before I kept reptiles. We hatched 4 button quails, and my daughter named them Donut, Cookies, Sprinkles, and Sugar. That's so cute. But I've done everything with snakes and lizards. I just really like fish and aqua plants. Fish are really great. They're just a lot of work. Do you plan to do any videos on any monitor species? No, because I don't have any. Do you have a tokay gecko? I do not. Is Honey a good name for a cat? Yes, because you know why? It reminds me of Miss Honey in Matilda, and she was, you can see my neighbor, and she was amazing. She's iconic to this day. We love her. Miss Honey is just, she was so sweet. She was lovely. My gecko touched the screen and almost made me unsubscribe. He's so rude. So rude. Since your geckos are named after characters from the show, what's your take on how Game of Thrones ended? I have not dealt with my emotions ever since the ending of Game of Thrones. The letdown that I was delivered, the absolute injustice that was carried out. I look like I have a little mustache when I do that. I can't do it now because I started smiling. But I don't, it made me angry. I was so, I could rant for hours about this, honestly. From someone who, like, I was a really, really big fan of the show, right? And even beyond the show, I've read different parts of the books because I'm waiting to read all the books till they all come out, if they ever do. But I've read, like, lore from the books, I've read quotes from the books, and I've read, like, character analysis that's online. I've read all the prophecies, I've read all the theories, I've watched the show 5 times through. I mean, I was in it, I was emotionally dedicated, and then they delivered such trauma to me that I have not yet recovered from. And I have not gotten attached to a TV show like Game of Thrones since, because I can't face letdown like that again. It's too painful. Like, I'm so mad about it still. Like, I just, ugh. Like, even if that's how it ends in the books, right? I guarantee you George R.R. Martin is going to do a much better job flushing out all those details to get to that point so that it won't feel like such a slap in the face to people who are dedicated to the character's growth and development, and to the plot as a whole. You know, we'll be able to see those plot beats more, right? But damn, D&D. Damn. Oh. They got all uppity. They were like, we got Star Wars to do. We're gonna have Star Wars movies. We're just gonna rush through this Game of Thrones stuff because we already got the hype. We've got our Star Wars deal. And then they ruined Game of Thrones. And then they lost their Star Wars deal. I'm speechless. I don't harbor ill will towards any human being, really, except some politicians. But, like, if I were to see D&D on the street, I would mean mug them. Like, I would give them a dirty stare. They would have no idea who I am, but I'd do it. I would do it 100%. Because I feel so betrayed. I feel betrayed by the fact that they worked so closely with George and his books for the first few seasons, right? Tyrion, genius. Varys, genius, right? We got to see Jaime becoming more humanized. We got to see Cersei becoming dehumanized, right? We got to see Daenerys go from a child to a badass, right? Like, we got to see this. We got to see Jon Snow start to discover his lineage, start to discover who he is outside of being a bastard. I mean, we got to see Sansa develop. We got to see Arya develop. And then they were just like, dum dum dum, and just pooped all over our visions, right? Pooped all over the development and where it was going. Oh, sorry. I can't talk about Game of Thrones because I could get... Oh, yeah. I could get going. Who's your favorite artist? Like, musician? Boom, 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 boom. Game of Thrones was such a stupid ending. Yeah, it was so bad. So bad. Even the actors, when you watch interviews or listen to interviews of them talking about the show, they laugh. They're like, best season ever, because they know it's stupid. They talk about how, like, Peter Dinklage literally talks about how stupid Tyrion has become, even though he was one of the smartest people in the show, and that's what he was known for. He was known for his wit, right? I drink and I know things. That's his quote. He didn't know anything in the end. He didn't know anything. He just was kind of drifting through life. Like, I'm in 3rd grade. What? You in 3rd grade? Oh my god, you're a baby. I love that little song you did. I'm a very musical person. But yeah, they left it so stupid, right? I really hope that things make more sense in George R.R. Martin's version, like when he comes out with the books, if that ever happens. I really hope it makes more sense, because obviously some characters in the show actually died in the books, and then they kept them in the show because they were popular, like Bronn, for example, who had absolutely nowhere to go because they didn't know how to write for his character because he didn't belong there. That's the problem with D&D. D&D didn't know how to write George's characters. They didn't know how to keep the plot progressing without his books. And that's why after 5 you can see it going badoop, 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 and it tanks right at season 8. It's because they didn't know what to do. And they didn't really... I don't know if they kept George as close in their production for those last few seasons. I'm wondering if they just got like too high and mighty with themselves and thought they could carry it out no problem. But what George created, like... what he created is so multifaceted that there's all these characters that are intermingling at different times. And Game of Thrones itself isn't about the action sequences. It isn't about like the wars. It isn't about like those type of things. It's about the language. It's about how the characters speak to one another. It's literally a constant battle for wits through of power through wits. You've got Tyrion and Varys and Cersei all trying to like, oh, and also Littlefinger and Tywin and just everyone who's intelligent, all trying to outsmart each other, all trying to one-up each other. And then of course you've got Ned Stark, who is too honorable and too good, and he gets caught up in that stuff. But like, they're genuinely so smart, and it's not about like the fact that they fight battles. It's a battle of wits, and they lost all of that. Ugh. and we need to talk about something else. I could do this for hours. Makes me so upset. Do you regret naming your geckos after Game of Thrones characters? No, I don't. Seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even season 6, right? Those are my solid seasons. I love those. I'll watch them. I haven't rewatched Game of Thrones yet because I haven't obviously emotionally dealt with what was season 8. I just haven't dealt with it, obviously. But I don't regret it because I really love the characters. Even if they did some of them dirty in the end, because they did. The Hound, they did him dirty. Daenerys, they did him dirty. Cersei, did him dirty. Brienne, did her dirty. Jaime, did him dirty. Who else? Sansa, did her dirty. Even though she got her throne, they did her dirty. They made her stupid. Arya's like one of the only people they didn't do. They kind of did her dirty because they did too much for her, honestly. Who else? I don't know. Just annoyed. Ugh, cannot believe they did that. The rats are back in their cage, but very upset their hammocks don't smell like the pee anymore. Yeah, whenever I clean my rat cage, mine like run around and investigate, like, this doesn't smell like my urine. This doesn't smell like my fur. Well, Ned Stark was done dirty by himself. He didn't get... He wasn't a factor of poor writing. Ned was too honorable to play the game. Cersei told him, you either win or you die. There's no in-between. And Ned couldn't win because he wasn't willing to do the dishonorable thing. Ned could have won right then and there had he not given Cersei a heads up for her children. He was too good of a man. Love Ned Stark. I cry every single time I watch that scene. Joffrey is a vile little creature. Even Cersei was like, Joffrey, don't do it. Don't do it. And Joffrey was like, off with his head. Do it. Ugh. Cersei got wild though. First season Cersei and season 5 Cersei, totally different. I think my 11-year-old dog is plotting my demise. I have dressed him up in my jackets and hoodies for the past 9 years I've had him. Oh, so you think he doesn't like wearing clothes and so he's just like down with my owner. Yes, I agree. They could have done so much with Bran. Bran and the Night King, that should have been a much more interesting face-off. And not a physical one, right? But like a magical one, right? Because that's the very first thing we see in Game of Thrones is the White Walkers. The very first thing we see. And then to have the big fight, right? The big fight to end in one episode because Arya stabbed him? I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? What? What was the point of Bran? What was the point of his whole character going north then? What was the reason? Do you remember one of your streams someone saying their Leper Gecko's name is James Bond? It sounds familiar. Sorry, the show is really good and so messed up in the end. Yeah, it's disappointing. It was so disappointing. Bran should have been the Night King. There just definitely should have been more with Bran and the Night King. 100%. Like, it just doesn't make any sense that they would send his character up north and give him this really magical... Because, like, his isn't about wits. His isn't about strength of the sword or whatever. It's about magic. It's about old age magic. And then they were just like, no, we're gonna have Arya stab him. Kill me. Like, God, that was so annoying. Who's your favorite character in Game of Thrones? Well, before the last couple seasons, it was Tyrion. I love him. I think he's intelligent. I'm willing to overlook a lot of the things he does wrong because he had been so, like, meanly treated throughout his life. I think Jaime. Jaime's a really complex character. I really like him. Ned Stark. Really any of the Starks. I love the Starks, personally. Baby boy Robb, R.I.P. Love him. Arya's amazing, obviously, no doubt there. People who were annoyed with Sansa annoy me because Sansa had to deal with some stuff that no other characters had to deal with, and she was smart about it. Really like Sansa. Jon Snow, obviously, lovely brooding man. And then Catelyn Stark wasn't really my thing, but it would have been cool had we gotten to see her as like, what is her name? Lady Stoneheart. That would have been cool, but they completely cut that character out. But yeah, Benjen Stark was cool. Yeah, just a lot of the people in the North were cool. Also, I really like the characters from Dorne. They did the Three-Eyed Raven dirty too. Oh, no doubt. I feel like they didn't really spend that much time on Bran. To be fair, apparently he wasn't in like one whole book or something. Like, I don't know, or he wasn't in one whole season, which is just nuts. This has gone from Leos to Game of Thrones in a matter of seconds. Someone asked me my opinion, and oh boy, we can go for a long time because I feel very, like, violated by the end of Game of Thrones. Like, it betrayed my trust, okay? It just did me dirty. It did me wrong. I remember just feeling my fault. Listen, it's okay. It's okay to vent these feelings once in a while. It's getting pretty dark in here. I might have to turn the overhead light on soon. Robb Stark is the... Yes! Oh my god. He's so beautiful. Oh, he's the best. And he was smart there for a little bit. But then he let love get in the way. Which, you know, I can respect. But at the same time, it wasn't smart. Game of Thrones is never ending because of how they left us. I almost like... That petition, okay, the funniest thing, except for the memes about Game of Thrones, hilarious. Twitter was everything when Game of Thrones was on. But like the funniest thing, I think, is when that petition went around to remake the entire last season of Game of Thrones because people were so upset about it. Oh, that's hilarious. Of course they couldn't and wouldn't, but hilarious. They made us wait an extra like year for that season and it was hot garbage. Hot garbage. It was so bad. I've watched like rant videos about other people's feelings about Game of Thrones and it's like I can feel the emotion they feel. You know what I mean? Would you ever name a gecko Daenerys? I would, but I've been waiting for like the right one and there was one I thought I would, but she was rehomed before I got the opportunity to get her. Like, what happened to the dragons? Yeah, like, you're literally in the sky on your dragons and you can't see a whole fleet in front of you. I'm sorry, what? Where's the logic? Like the first dragon, Viserion, being turned into an ice dragon, like, okay, that is stupid as heck, right? But I can overlook that, okay? Everyone's allowed to make one mistake. But then you're literally flying in the sky and you don't see on the open ocean a whole fleet of boats and they happen to get another dragon, like, what? What? That's, no, sorry, I don't buy that whatsoever. The dragons did just fine flying around in, like, Slaver's Bay and burning all those boats, but apparently once you get to Westeros, they forget what boats look like? Where's the reason? Where's the logic? Like, ugh, D&D, man. You know what? I found out D&D are also responsible for the really bad Wolverine origin movie, and then it made all the sense. Hello. We're just ranting about Game of Thrones. I'm gonna turn a light on because it's getting dark in here. No, Jackson, we're not leaving. Might be a little bright now. Oh my god, you can see my eye bags. Y'all making me not want to watch the rest of Game of Thrones. I'm only season 3. Oh, I'm so sorry because we're giving you spoilers. I'm really apologizing for that. I should have said spoiler warning, but I went off on my feels. Euron was dumb too. Yeah, apparently Euron was much different in the books. Poor Deadpool, still not over. Yeah, that movie was so bad. Movie was so bad. I genuinely don't understand how they could mess that up so much. Like, I love walking in on weird conversations. You're so pretty. I'm sorry. Oh, thanks. I think I'm kind of okay, but thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, the weird conversations. We're just talking about Game of Thrones because someone brought up Game of Thrones because my geckos are named after Game of Thrones characters. It's just disheartening, you know? It's disheartening. When they just mess up your favorite show like that. Can we see a gecko? Let me see if any of them are out. Amy is not out. Arya is not out. Marcella is a little bit out. Let's see. Let's see if anybody else is out. I'll put my hoodie on too. I'm getting kind of cold. Oh, we can have Viserion out. Give me a minute. I'll grab Viserion. Diddy, diddy. Diddy, diddy. I'm also gonna undo one of these light bulbs because it's a little bright in here. There we go. There. It's still bright, but I don't want to blind the geckos. Okay. Come on, Biz. We're gonna hang out, little dude. I know. Thank you. Do you brewmate your geckos? No. If they brewmate on their own, I let them, but most of them don't. Alright, come here. Everybody see you. Da, 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 da. Oh, I'll show you his face. This is Viserion. He has a facial tumor because he's a lemon frost. How you doing, huh, Bubba? I know. Okay, let me go through and miss comments. I already did miss comments. Are you a night owl? Very much so. I didn't go to bed till 6 a.m. last night. But that's really late. Usually I go to bed at like 3. I hate that Jamie went back to Cersei. Oh, we cannot even talk about Jamie. Jamie and Cersei were done so wrong. How active should an adult Leo be? It's going to change throughout the year. Like, during wintertime, they won't be as active. During summer and breeding season, which is the spring, they should be most active. Generally, like, some Leos are going to be more chill than others, and some are just going to be, like, crazy energy compared to others. So it's going to vary depending on each gecko, but, I mean, they should definitely explore their enclosure. You should see them climbing. Hold on, I need to go back to the comments. Hi, this is the first time I have watched you live. I found your videos when I had my first leper gecko brought to me. I normally deal with beardies, but you rock, so helpful. I now have 2. Aw, so glad to hear that I could be helpful. Any tips on building trust with your gecko to make them more okay with handling? I do have a couple of videos. Here, come sit up here for a minute. I do have a couple of videos on my channel about getting your gecko used to you and getting your gecko used to handling that I think you should check out. What is your favorite Leo you have? I don't have favorites. He's so cute. Thank you. He's so chunky. He is a good size. He's a good size, you know. Doesn't have too big of a hanging belly. He's got a nice tail. He's a good size. He's a good size. Alright, ready? You're gonna go back up. Thank you. I feed my geckos pinkies. They love them. I do not feed them pinkies. I'm buying a terrarium for my Leo. 25-gallon is good. Yeah, that's a good size. What is that Syrian's name? He's super cute. That Syrian's name. This is not a Syrian hamster. This is a leper gecko. His name is Viserion, so that might have been some of the confusion. I do not send them into brumation. Hoodie squad. I love hoodies. What is your favorite Leo? I don't have favorites. What do you... Sir, you're doing me dirty here. You're supposed to be on camera, and now I'm not on camera. Wow, I've been live for almost 100 minutes. Holy cannoli, time flies when we're talking about Game of Thrones. Holy cannoli. Oh, okay. I thought you said he was a Syrian gecko. Oh, no, no, no. No, they don't need to brumate. If they choose to brumate on their own, that's fine, but they don't need to. Some of them just slow down eating, but they don't actually go into full brumation. But they don't have to. I wish I could talk to you about Game of Thrones in real life. I have so much I need to vent about. Literally, just like some ways that I've found satisfaction in like letting out my feelings about Game of Thrones, or about watching YouTubers talk about their like disappointment, because I was like, me too, like, and then it felt like I was relating to someone. I worry my half-giant leper gecko may be overweight. She's 86 grams and almost 11 inches long, but very active. Does that sound like a reason for concern? So you can tell if she's overweight. If you look at the, sorry, Viserion, this is going to be annoying. Look at the width of her head and compare it to the width of her body and the width of her tail at the thickest points. So the width of her head Sorry, I just made that sound because he was like trying to jump out of my hands. So the width of the head at the thickest point, which is by the ears, the width of the torso, which is like towards the middle at its thickest point, and the tail at its thickest point, which is usually like just below the base, like towards the middle here. This would be the thickest. Sorry for flashing. I'm sorry. I was trying to show people. But those should all be kind of like parallel. Like you should be able to draw a parallel line down this way and like meet at the thickest points. If it's a little bit off, like a little bit under or a little bit over, that's okay because all geckos have different shapes and sizes, but that's a good way of determining if your gecko is overweight or underweight. So if your gecko's head is really wide compared to its tail and body, it's likely underweight, and if your gecko's head is small compared to its the width of its body and its tail, then your gecko's probably overweight. Also, if it has armpit bubbles, typically it's overweight. Or if it has like a hanging belly that droops on the ground. So those are some indications, but it's kind of hard to tell like for grams because all geckos come in different shapes and sizes, so I really don't like using grams as an indicator. But I do actually have 2 videos that are currently in edit about how to determine if your gecko is overweight, how to determine if it's underweight, and then how to correct that in both sides. So it's 2 separate videos, but it won't be out for some time because I still have to finish editing them, and I just really haven't had the time to sit down and edit. And it's so old now because I've been so busy that I have blonde hair in that video, not red. Let's see if I missed anything. My Leper Gecko has joined us, so hi from Wanda. Hello, Wanda. I don't have a favorite Leo. The only reason I have geckos is because my brother thought he could care for them all along with his bugs, but he didn't have time, so asked me to take them. I went speed mode on researching. Yeah, I can imagine. You will keep learning new things, by the way, even years into it. How do you edit? I use this super sophisticated software called iMovie. It's, yeah, not very sophisticated. But I just use iMovie because it's free and it's easy. What substrate do you use at the bottom of your dig box to help females lay eggs? So you can use EcoEarth, you can use organic topsoil, you can use an arid substrate mixture. That's like pre-made. You can use sand mixed with topsoil. You can use all kinds of stuff. Some people use, I'm not sure if it's vermiculite. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but some people use that. 25 gallon, don't be spooked. 25 gallon is okay. It's okay, you are supported. You just couldn't see my hand, it's off camera. I think I'm gonna go at, I'm definitely gonna go at 1 hour and 20 minutes because that's 2 hours. I'm sorry, 120 minutes because that's 2 hours. Where are you in the US and do you sell leper geckos? I do not sell leper geckos, and I live in the Midwest in Indiana, which is a very boring place to live, but it's okay. But no, I don't breed or sell my leper geckos. I run a sanctuary, so if leper geckos or any reptile come here, they're here for life. And that's been the case with all of them, including Miss Shireen, who passed away recently, and I miss her very much. Oh, Liana's out. Who's that? Theon's out. Who else? I don't see anybody else yet. I can't hold Liana though because she's psychopath. Like I literally can't hold her. She'll just freak out and bite and run away and stuff. She's just like, she's temperamental. Oh, sorry, I'm not even showing him. It just gets tiring holding my arm up here. How do you manage your time with so many critters and work? Well, I don't have a job right now because I lost it because of coronavirus. Oh, hey Jackson, careful. You coming through? So I used to have a job. I worked like 15 to 20 hours a week, really not that much, but I also have YouTube income and like income from having an online presence. So I would like split my time between that work and then YouTube or social media work and then also taking care of the pets. It can be a lot, especially with like upgrades, and I'm happy to be upgraded and done because that took a lot of time. I have this like perfectionist problem where I'm never happy, and so I've just been constantly upgrading for the past 2 years, and that's really exhausting. But once I get over that, then it'll be easy, relatively easy again, because I won't have upgrades that I constantly do. But it's just a matter of like balancing anything in life, really, you know. I do spend a lot of time on the reptiles, though. I'd say that they're easily a part. Can you, sir? Sir? Sir! Oh, goodness. I'd say that they're easily a part-time to full-time job, the amount of time I spend on them. In fact, I wrote down how much time I spent in the pet room, like, for 1 whole month, and then I accidentally erased it. So I was going to, sorry, my finger just twitched, Biz. I was actually going to make like a video about how much time I spend in here, and I erased all my averages. So I have to do that all over again. But I figured I might as well do that in a month where I'm not doing this, because that shouldn't really count, because it's not normal to do this every month. And if it was, I wouldn't keep reptiles, because this has been exhausting. Someone asked about these, actually. Do you have a limit on the amount of animals you adopt? In the very beginning of keeping reptiles, I didn't like have a limit. As I started getting more, I was like, I'm gonna stop at 50. I was like, 50 is an absurd number, like 100% stop at 50. I surpassed 50, but like that also counts like my little tiny aquatic frogs. It counts each individual frog in a polydarium. It counts each individual gecko. It counts each individual animal, right? So like some people count the amount of animals they have by the amount of enclosures they have. So like they'll count 4 African dwarf frogs in an aquarium as 1 pet, because it's really like maintenancing for 1 pet. But if you do that, I'm probably less than 50. But because I have so many little things that live together, when it comes to frogs especially, then I count them each individually. What else? I know I got another question about the enclosures. Do you use substrate, and how often does it need to be changed? Do I use substrate for which species? Any idea why Leos are so much cheaper in the US than in Europe? They're just probably more easy to get. It's probably what it is. In the US, they're really readily available. Is that the 4K cabinet you got? So all these enclosures. Da 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 da. Oh shit, we're stuck. Da 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 da. And then over here, which I'm running out of room. Yeah, those all cost like just the enclosures, almost $4,000. Oh, I read that already. I have decided to name the grumpier gecko Draco and the calmer one Hagrid. Oh, I love that name. I had a hamster named Hagrid when I was a kid. I really like leper geckos. I'm trying to learn about them, how to set them up, how to feed them. But one thing I'm concerned about is, do they bite? No, leper geckos rarely bite. And if they do, they don't make you bleed, and it doesn't really hurt. Have you ever kept female rats? If so, is their behavior much different than males? Yes, I've kept females. I actually kept females first. Their behavior is a lot different than males. They are more energetic. They need a lot more stimulation. Like, they need more of your time, I feel like, than male rats. Male rats are bigger, and they sleep a lot more. And also, male rats, I feel like, have more problems when it comes to getting along with each other. And I don't mean that to sound like you shouldn't keep male rats, because I've kept nothing but male rats since I got girls. But they both have pros and cons. So, like, sometimes you'll have problems with males getting along, and usually with females it's not really the case. But females have a lot more energy. And for some people that's great, and for some people it's not. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Oh, females also have tumors that they get, like mammary tumors. They get them quite a lot. So that's something you have to look out for with females as well. That's kind of annoying and sad. Please let me see Liana. Towards the end of the stream, I'll walk over there and see if she's out. Thank you so much for the information. You are welcome. Is there any reptile that you are still after? A European glass lizard or legless lizard. A sandfish skink, or a Peter's banded skink. Some of the ones I mentioned earlier. Substrate for leper geckos is what I meant. Wow, those are nice. Thank you. I just put substrate in there, and I hope to make it bioactive over time, but I have to do some more research into bioactivity for arid species, because like a lot of people make it look easier than it actually is, because like when you look at the bioactive process that would replicate like a natural environment for them, the way that things break down in an enclosure that has a lot of humidity is different than the way things break down in an enclosure with little humidity or less humidity. So it's just a matter of like doing more research, and when I feel confident that I could actually sustain a proper bioactive, I'll take that route with them. However, right now the substrate I'd probably change out every like 6 months or so. Leper geckos are really great because they poop in the same spot, so I'll just like remove that spot of substrate and replenish that spot of substrate. And then like when it just gets to the point of like having to change all of it, I'll change all of it. But again, I just added it, so I don't really know for sure. It'll be kind of like an experiment. I love you so much. You are doing the gods of leper geckos work. Thank you so much. I think, have you had any problems with humidity in the new Leo tanks, them being PVC? No, I did it first because I was stupid and I moistened the substrate a lot before adding it, because I'm so used to moistening the substrate for all the other species, but they're not arid. So like I did a boo-boo there. So I had to leave all the doors open and let them dry out. But no, the humidity right now is 47 in here, which is like my regular room humidity, and it's what I always have kept them at. I keep my Leos between 30 is like the lowest it'll ever be, and 50 is like the highest it gets. Right now it's a rainy day outside and the windows are open, so that's why it's higher humidity in here. And if it gets too high, I have a dehumidifier next to the closet that I turn on, but this is decent humidity. What is the best substrate for geckos? Right now I'm using a mixture of, like, let's see, sifted play sand, sifted washed play sand, sifted organic topsoil, and then also sifted Terra Sahara from the Biodude. Really it's just a mix of stuff. And I wish that I had access to Arcadia's Earth Mix Arid, because it looks really amazing, but here in the US I don't have access to it. So how was your day? And can you do a vid where you race your geckos at some point? No, I don't think I have any interest in racing them, but my day was okay. It's been a slow day, but thank you for asking. Where should I get my gecko? Do you want to get like a healthy one from a breeder? Do you want to get a pet only? Do you want to get a rescue? What are you interested in? Okay, I'm going to be on here for like 8 more minutes. What are your op on walk-in enclosures? Walk-in enclosures? What's a walk-in enclosure? Do you mean like an enclosure that's like an entire room, so it's kind of like free room? I have a tokay gecko named Tywin. That's lovely. That is lovely. I have a big gecko named Tywin. Yeah. I don't know. I imagine for like big reptiles it's better, but I can't imagine doing that for like a smaller one. I would feel too nervous with them being able to get somewhere and then be lost forever. Would you like a compliment because your eyes are gorgeous? Thank you. What's your favorite morph of leopard gecko? I really like Max Nose and Tangerines because they're non-problematic morphs that are really like robust and healthy. How do I lose the fear of my juvenile Leo run up my arm? What you can do is interact with your gecko in a way that it doesn't run up your arm. It doesn't have the opportunity to. So what you can do is put it, like, sit on the ground with it and put it in your lap. But it might still run up the front of you, so that's just something you're going to have to work on getting over. They can't hurt you. Can you give a bit of a 101 on lighting and heating for leper geckos? I'm not sure I have the proper lighting. So for lighting, so if you want to use a heat, like a heat from above from a light source, oh, it's not really a light, but it's the deep heat projector. I haven't had the opportunity to use this, but I know that Leper Gecko Talk, her name's, oh shoot, Rebecca, she uses it with success, and so I trust her, obviously. So if she uses it, then it must be good, or if she vouches for it, it must be good. Deep. Yeah, deep heat projector. What did I say? Did I say the wrong thing? Oh god, I apologize. But I don't use them. What I have right now is heat tape. You can actually see a little bit of it sticking out here. But the heat tape I have runs across the entire bottom. Not the entire bottom. It runs across the bottom of the enclosure on 1/3 of the back of the enclosure, but it runs across it vertically instead of just being situated on 1/3 like horizontally, if that makes sense. Why did I say vertically? I'm trying to explain that it runs like this in the enclosure along the back third, instead of just like a heat mat being placed here and then no heat mat, if that makes sense. And then the reason that I do this is because I think it creates a better ambient temperature and allows them to move throughout the enclosure more instead of just being like stationary on one heat pad. And that's something that LG Talk has talked about. Rebecca, I don't know how you guys would refer to her on here, how you guys know her, but that's something that she talks about with the deep heat projector, is that they move around the enclosure a lot more. And I have found when I started using the heat tape laid out this way in my Leper Gecko bookshelves that I'm obviously no longer using, I found that they were a lot more active because the heat wasn't just situated in one spot. So they still have enough room to get off the heat in the front half of the enclosure, or front 2/3 of the enclosure. But they have heat along the entire back of the enclosure that allows them to still move around and be warm. It also creates better ambient temperatures, and because of the way the heat tape is situated, there's heat tape in between all of the enclosures, like for the next one. So there's heat tape here that warms this one, there's heat tape here that warms this one, and so that actually provides heat from the top of the enclosure as well. So it creates really good ambient temperatures, and a lot of my leper geckos, instead of like laying under their hides for warmth, they'll lay on top of them because they're getting heat from above as well. So I've obviously keep good look at the ambient temperatures here. Hi Marcella, sorry to disturb you. So like I have little hygrometer thermometers in here, and then I of course have my infrared thermometer that's like a little temperature gun that allows me to make sure that all of the temperatures are good, that they're getting plenty of warmth but not too much warmth. But I really do like the idea of, instead of just having one heat pad on 1/3 of the enclosure, that it's 1/3 of the enclosure but it's the entire this way, if that makes sense. I'll talk about that more when I show off the enclosures in a video, but I had really great luck with that with the Gecko bookshelves, and then of course now I am with these enclosures as well. Just wanted to say I really enjoy your channel. Thank you. I don't have a favorite leper gecko. DP projectors are great. Sorry, I was holding a temperamental dragon while typing. I find Leos thrive with them. Yeah, I've also seen I've seen her share African fat-tailed geckos using them as well on her Instagram. What clean should I use for my Leo's tank? Because Leos are relatively clean already, like they just poop in one spot, I just really clean that spot every time I spot clean with just like water and paper towel. I'll just pick it up there, and then when I do a deep clean, I will use like a gentle soap on all of the kitchen cabinet liner. Now that I'm using Substrate, however, I will remove the entire spot of Substrate where the poop was, in case, you know, the Substrate soaked up urates and stuff. But like for messier reptiles, you definitely are going to want like a different cleaning regimen. But leper geckos are really neat. The only annoying thing is like they can get calcium everywhere. I made my gecko's enclosure just like yours because I trust you. You made me so confident in my care of my geckos. Aw, thanks. I just got a baby Leo. Do you mind if I run a few things by you? Yes, you've got 2 minutes, so go ahead. What is your favorite Leo you have? You've asked me this like 100 times. I don't have a favorite leper gecko. I love my gecko so much, named Kachi and Kasha. That's so cute. What's her link if you don't mind sharing? So deep light or heat map are options, not both. Okay, so like when you use a deep heat projector, you don't need additional heat source, I don't think. He just wrapped his tail around my finger. Hey, cutie. You don't need an additional heat source, I don't believe. I believe it provides enough heat in the enclosure that there's no reason for an under tank heater. And yeah, when you're using heat tape, you don't need above tank heating, or above, do you know what I mean? Overhead heating. But her YouTube channel is very big. I'd be surprised if you've never heard of it. But I can't provide a link right now because my hands are full, but it is Leper Gecko Talk here on YouTube. And of course you can find her on Twitter and Instagram as well. That's a really good idea for the placement of the heat mats. You're welcome. I really like it. My setup came with 2 lights that sit on top of the tank, which I find odd that I have the light on all the time. Yes, they do need darkness, so you definitely need to give them a proper day-night cycle. So you're going to want the light off during the nighttime, so at least like 12 hours of the day. How much calcium should I put in the dish? So like you only need to put like a teaspoon. It doesn't need to be a lot. My Leo, as it's only 2 months old, is eating 5 to 8 crickets that are dusted with D3 per day. I'm going to get a dish soon for calcium carbonate. Okay, so yeah, you want calcium carbonate in a dish in the enclosure, and then when you dust the food, you do want to use D3, but also make sure that you are dusting with calcium and with multivitamin. And then you said you were feeding how many crickets? 5 to 8 crickets every day. 2 months old. Yeah, it's growing, so you do want to feed it every day. Try offering other types of food as well. Mealworms are something that a lot of people feed young geckos. If you can get your hands on small superworms or small hornworms, that's great too. Come here, you. Dubia roaches are another really... Sir! My arm is short. Superworm is another... superworm. Dubia roaches are another really great option. Goodbye, lovely. My friends are coming over soon for soup. Oh, have fun eating soup. Thank you so much for being here. Is it normal for a Leo to shed without eating any of it? I would not say that's normal. It can happen from time to time, but I wouldn't say it's normal. How's it going? It's going okay, but I am getting off here in a second. I'm afraid to handle my Leos because they tend to jump and I don't want them to get hurt. Anything I can do? Sit on the ground with them so that if they do jump that they won't get hurt. Are vitamins okay to have D3 as well or no? Yes, you can use a multivitamin that also has D3 in it. Just make sure that you are, like, on days that you're offering just calcium, there's no D3 in that. So if you're going to offer a multivitamin that has D3, just make sure you're not offering too much D3. You know what I mean? Should I feed my Leo after they shed? If they will eat, yeah, you can, but sometimes they won't. Alright, everyone. Say goodbye to beautiful Viserion. Of course, it's going to be blurry on him. Bye, everyone. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing week. I will hope to have another video out next Monday. I'm trying to at least upload on Mondays. I would like to upload multiple times a week, but I've just been very, very busy. Please check me out on social media, Twitter and Instagram. If you want to see more from me than just YouTube, because that's where I am more often. But bye, everyone. When are you going live next? I have no idea, and I'm sorry about that. Bye, everyone. Thank you for being here.